Hello, um, my name is Hannah Tautu, and this is my project for Sometimes in a Digital World. This is the article that I reviewed over. And if I talk really quietly, it's because I'm in a public space and I get really shy, so we're talking in the microphone. So let's get started. So, basic information that I have here is the title is Sometimes in a Digital World. The author's name was Andrea Pognieli. This was an article that was published between January and February of 2016. And then my name, obviously, is Hannah Tautu, and I am an education major student. I divided the sections into highlighted categories that were read in the article. So, what we know. When students have story time, we're able to expose parts of the story which are like the storyline, genre, vocabulary, and we find a manner that keeps the students' attention and interest because we don't want them to be straying away from the content that we're reading about. Because everything could be just pictures, but there's more of a bigger message to that. So, from the information of a practicing librarian of 12 years, she did like a little experiment where she started to like read handheld books, like paper copy books, and she would read them like each week, and she would see how that reading like actual paper copy books didn't really spark any interest in the children anymore. And there's a librarian named Samantha Roseland that entailed like during story time, like the material and the engagement that were involving in equal learning. What you kind of look for is like when we're reading a story, do we have quality narration and appropriate dictionary functions? So do we have the proper dictation on certain words and content? Is the content connected to the picture/animations of the story, and can the student comprehend what the main message is of the story and add a positive reading experience for them? The next section says, how should we prepare? So for this, it means like we're trying to create a way that the students can be more engaged in a digital world of learning. So reading off of like an iPad or a computer or an ebook. We could prepare our students for digital story time with an additional level of planning and considering any kind of backup plan for digital story time, which we should consider a wide variety of genres and different kinds of media, so iPad, computer, smartboard, ebook. All selections should be appropriate for the child based on the grade level. We should make the listening levels and engagement levels different by maintaining that, or it depends on like what kind of story that we're reading, but by making them different, the child can kind of capture the tone of the story. We should also have competitions for students' attention to be strong. We want them to urge into reading this story and be hooked onto it. Also creating an environment in which there's proper story time and reading, you display an enjoyment for the materials selected, and reading with direct expression and enthusiasm in the story really brings it to life. Next, for innovation and engagement, by adding digital elements to the story, we're able to create an environment of like excitement and, like I said, urge. This revitalizes the student's interest. There's a world-renowned known librarian named Laura Fleming, and she used digital augmentations, which like she used like an iPad and an ebook and a smartboard to really start reading, and this increased the students' engagement. She showed multiple versions of media, and this engaged her fifth graders in the way that they weren't even aware of and caused them to be very excited to read, which is what we want. Next, for what is out there are 4 distinct categories of digital story time. First one is augmented reality format with additional visual materials that are digital. So what kind of media are you using, and then what kind of extra resources are you going to use? The second one is creating a dynamic dialogue format, which uses materials that are created with embedded audio, dictionary, or other digital functions. The third one is a story author format, which uses projects and tools selected to enable students to create and read their own books during story time. And then the fourth and last one is a code author format, which uses projects and tools selected to enable students to define their own story time and how to make it their own. Lastly, these are kind of just resources and ways to have your students get started by asking any additional librarian program, whether it's small or not funded. These are some websites that you can look for. You learn more about ebooks by looking at these websites. And if your budget's tight, I put a link for the first one. And if your budget, if you want like an ebook without any whistles or bells, the second website can actually help with that. And we want to have our students hold a positive experience with books in a trained environment that makes them want to read. And then the last one are my discussion questions for the class. What variety of genres and multimedia sources will you use to create an authentic experience to your classroom, and what kind of competition do you think your students will create by having digital story time? So that's it. Thank you.